Netflix's hit show Squid Game just released their third and presumably final season, and there's a lot to take in. The ending of the show was heart-wrenching and dramatic, and to say that it was controversial would be an understatement. The divide between fans on how the season ended has never been further. And so in this video, we're going to be breaking down some of the events leading up to the end, some alternate endings that would have made sense for the story, and overall, how I believe that the direction the show took is ultimately the perfect ending. Obviously, there's spoilers ahead, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. The final game of Squid Game Season 3 is called Sky Squid Game, and it has the familiar square, circle, and triangle that we know from the first season. But this time, it's elevated many feet in the air. The premise of the game is that all the players have to eliminate one person by pushing them off the side to move on to the next shape. All remaining players alive after the last shape would win the game and split the prize money evenly, meaning that only 3 out of the 9 remaining players had to die for the games to end. Long story short, a lot more than 3 people died, and the remaining 3 players on the final shape were player 456, player 222, who was deemed to take the place of her mother who died in the previous game, and player 333, who is actually the father of player 222's baby. Gi-hun promised to protect the baby, while player 333 actually wants to kill both 456 and the baby to claim the whole prize money for himself. Gi-hun and 333 fight it out until inevitably player 333 falls to his death and 456 has succeeded in protecting the life of the baby. But plot twist. Neither 456 or 333 managed to hit the button at the center of the platform to start the game, meaning that for the games to end, one more player must die. And Gi-hun is left with the decision: throw the baby off the platform and live to see his daughter again, or jump off himself so the baby can live. Now, of course, we all saw this coming, but Gi-hun ultimately jumps, and player 222 is deemed the winner. The baby and its prize money is later delivered to the detective, and the front man delivers Gi-hun's belongings and his winnings to his daughter, who is now in Los Angeles. And while the front man is driving through LA, we see a suited woman playing dachi with a homeless man in an alleyway, setting up the more than likely Squid Game spin-off, Squid Game USA. Now, I do believe this is the right ending for the show. It's heartbreaking and it's bittersweet, but this really was the best way to end it. But before I get into exactly why I believe this is the best ending, I want to talk about some of the other possible endings that we could have seen happen. This ending was really controversial because everybody wanted to see Gi-hun get a happy ending. The best case scenario for player 456 is that he managed to hit the button before player 333 fell to his death. That way both him and the baby could have lived. He could have reunited with his daughter and returned the baby to the rest of her family, or raised the baby by himself if that's what he wanted to do. This would have been the happy ending to wrap up the series. But the thing is, Gi-hun went back to the games in the first place to stop them from happening again.
I played these games before!
And honestly, I don't believe he would have ever stopped trying to end the games, even after winning twice in a row. The Korean games may have ended for now, but nothing is stopping the front man or whoever else is in charge from relocating and rebuilding. And that's just specifically talking about the Korean games. The VIPs mentioned that the games are all over the world in many different countries. And I just don't think that player 456 could just sit around and let that all happen. Especially with his daughter living in LA, the chance that she could possibly get involved in the game someday is just not something I believe Gi-hun would do. And so the only way I would have wanted to see Gi-hun survive is that if he won the games, and then he went to LA to visit his daughter and reunite with her, and while he's there, he sees the recruiter in the alleyway, and he realizes that the games are happening everywhere. And then that would ultimately set him up as the main character for the US Squid Games as a spin-off, where he goes and tries to stop the US games to protect his daughter. But logistically, that just wouldn't work. Gi-hun doesn't even speak English. While I would love to see Gi-hun play in the American version of Squid Games if that show actually became a reality, it would just feel overly forced and wouldn't make much sense for the story. The other possible ending is if Gi-hun kills the baby and claims the prize money for himself, and I think we can all agree that this would have sucked. It's a huge departure of Gi-hun as a character, and really would just go against everything that he stands for. So with some of the possible endings out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about why this really is the best ending. And it all comes back down to the ending of Season 1. We see Gi-hun meet the old man responsible for the creations of the game, the same player number 1 we saw die earlier in the season. He points at a homeless man outside who passed out and will freeze to death if no one helps him. He bets Gi-hun that nobody will stop to help this man by the time the clock strikes midnight. And he asks Gi-hun, Do you still trust in humanity being good? Someone eventually helps a man, but the old man dies before he ever has a chance to see it. This theme of a lost in trust in humanity continues into season 3 when player 456 is brought to the front man. He tries to convince Gi-hun to kill the other players in their sleep so he and the baby can survive and win the game. And when Gi-hun starts to walk away, the front man asks him,
Player 456, do you still have faith in people?
do you still have faith in people? And after the events of seasons 2 and 3, this really cuts deep for multiple reasons. This is obviously referring to how Gi-hun trusted the frontman and how they became very close friends during season 2, just for the frontman to reveal he was behind everything and just using Gi-hun in the long run. But there is another underlying meaning here, and that's how Gi-hun himself has lost his way during the events of season 3. How he blames player 388 for all the death caused by his attack against the frontman. We even see a game in season 3 called Hide and Seek where the players have to physically kill each other to survive, where Gi-hun hunts down player 388 and strangles him to death as revenge. We start to see Gi-hun lose a humanity that has built his character throughout the entire show. And this question, do you still have faith in people? It's not just directed at the frontman, but whether or not Gi-hun still has faith in himself. And we see Gi-hun faced with this question whenever he goes to eliminate the other people in their sleep. And when Gi-hun starts to do it, the frontman gets flashbacks of when he's presented with the exact same scenario. But instead of going through with it like the frontman did, Gi-hun can't make himself do it. And we see the frontman react to this unfolding, and seeing just a hint of realization in his eyes, that there might still be a hope for humanity. We aren't really sure where the frontman's intentions lie, even by the end of the show, but we really see his emotions throughout the course of the season. And we see that exact same look of realization when Gi-hun decides to jump off the edge and let the baby live. You see that look of realization in the frontman's eyes that maybe humanity is worth putting your trust in. And that's how Gi-hun's death at the end of season 3 makes the perfect ending. If you guys like this video, make sure to check out some similar ones we have up on the channel right now. We have videos covering Star Wars, Marvel, and more. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you want to stay notified for future uploads. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.